My name is Emma Carter, and looking back, I can't believe how completely I lost myself in Mark's perfect facade. It began innocently enough. I was 21, a first-year law student with big dreams and an even bigger social circle. My roommate Jenna, an aspiring graphic designer, always dragged me to bohemian gatherings full of artists and musicians twice my age. One autumn night, at a loft party lit by fairy lights and candles, I first locked eyes with Mark Donovan. He was tall, dark-haired, and impossibly confident, a freelance musician who moonlighted as a junior art director for a new ad agency. He told me he'd been spellbound by my smile and then excused himself to leave the party early, saying he couldn't bear the thought of anyone else talking to me. I laughed it off as a clever line until he showed up on my doorstep the next morning, bouquet in hand, and said with an earnest shrug, "I had to see you again." For the first month, Mark was charming in every cliché. He sent me coffee on cold mornings, praised my ideas in class, and laughed at every joke. He introduced me to his circle, older, polished professionals who admired my ambition. I felt like Cinderella at a royal ball, but cracks began to show. One evening, he joked about why I still played video games instead of preparing for our future, and I dismissed it. Another time, he teased that I should cut back on weekend brunches with friends. "You know I worry about your health," he said, voice low. I moved into his cramped city apartment 2 months in. He'd promised it was easier if I covered most of the rent. After all, he was saving up to buy us a home. I told myself I was in love, a partner in a modern relationship. But his idea of partnership meant I worked, cooked, cleaned, then waited up for him to stumble home at 2 a.m., bleary-eyed and distant. He never pitched in. He never asked how my day went. Most nights, I fell asleep alone on his couch. On New Year's Eve, he stood me up. He'd promised to pick me up at my mother's house, but as midnight passed, my phone lit up with his excuse. "Sorry, got called into a late meeting. I'll see you tomorrow." I felt a familiar burn of betrayal. To distract myself, I clicked on a recommended video. "Are you in love with a narcissist?" It talked about emotional dependency, hormonal highs and lows, and that unsettling anxiety when a partner disappears and then returns with sugar-coated apologies. Listening, I saw my own life unspool. The wild highs of his compliments contrasted brutally with the lows of his absence. I realized I was hooked, addicted to his approval. My grades slipped. I stopped attending seminars. I ghosted friends because I didn't want to leave his apartment before he returned. When he did come back, usually just to sleep, he offered no warm greeting, only a tired nod. I'd say, "Good morning," and he'd grunt, shuffle his keys, and leave for work. By December, I was a ghost myself, haunted, hollowed out, and too ashamed to tell anyone. When I did phone my parents, they tried to coax me home. My mother warned, "Emma, this isn't the vibrant girl we know." But each time I returned to campus, I'd rush back to Mark's apartment, waiting for permission to breathe again. Then came the slap. It wasn't violent, just a sharp smack to my cheek, but it landed inside me like an anchor. I was standing in the kitchen, nervously admitting that I'd spent my entire savings on a project for school. He laughed, light, amused, and slapped me. "You're ridiculous," he said. "We need to manage our money, Emma." The sting burned more than my skin. In that moment, something cracked inside me. I packed a small bag that same night and left a note on his pillow. "I deserve better." My heart pounded so loud I thought the neighbors would hear. I took a ride back to my parents' home, where the warmth of the living room felt like an embrace I'd forgotten existed. My mom held me until I trembled to silence. Healing wasn't instant. I spent weeks unraveling his voice from my thoughts, months relearning who I was without his shadow. But with every painting I finished, every class I aced, every coffee I shared with friends, I felt a stitch of myself return. I discovered that the laughter and fire I'd admired in Mark hadn't disappeared. They were parts of me, starved for nurturing. Now, as I look in the mirror, I see my own strength staring back. I escaped the thorns of toxic love and found myself again, resilient, whole, and free. If my story resonates with you, know this: you don't have to settle for someone else's definition of love. You are deserving of respect, of kindness, and of a partner who sees you, not as a project, but as a person. And above all, you have the power to reclaim your own light,